Hi, welcome to Metdia Corporation. My name is Scott Britton, and today I'll be demonstrating my company's exciting new Gemology software application, MetdiaGem, for iOS, Android, and Windows 8 smartphone devices. In this video, I will be demonstrating the Windows 8 phone version of MetdiaGem that features the new interface that both the iOS and Android versions will incorporate in the near future. If you have an iOS or Android smartphone device, you may see a demonstration of the current version of MetdiaGem for both by going to www.metdia.com/product/MetdiaGem. I know you're eager to see MetdiaGem in action, so let's get started.
If you're an experienced Windows 8 phone user, then the native feel of Windows 8 phone is continued in MetdiaGem. The same gestures used to control other Windows 8 phone applications apply here. Please do not be offended if I explain the motions in more detail for other not-so-experienced Windows 8 phone users. I will not go over every single piece of information that the application contains because that would be very boring, and you may read about that on our product homepage. What I will do is show you how to use the application and find information quickly and in the fewest steps as possible. However, I will scroll slowly so you may see the information it does contain. When we designed MetdiaGem, we used the principle of drill down in determining how we were going to deliver information to you. We chose to go from the most general of information to the most specific of information in as few steps as possible and in the most logical fashion so that you can quickly find the information you need. I will begin my demonstration by clicking the MetdiaGem icon on the Windows 8 phone application screen. As a side note, you may tile MetdiaGem or any other application by going to the application screen, pressing and holding any application icon, and pinning it to the start screen, as I will demonstrate now. You may also choose tile size or remove any application's tile from the start screen by pressing and holding the tile and either selecting to increase or decrease tile size or unpin from the start screen, as I will demonstrate now. Moving on, clicking the MetdiaGem icon on the application screen opens MetdiaGem to the application's home screen. Currently, there are 4 application menu bar icons plus an ellipsis. Clicking on the ellipsis opens up the full menu of options that control the MetdiaGem application, including written description for each of the application menu bar icons. Let's begin using MetdiaGem by clicking on the species icon in the application menu bar, which is the leftmost button on the bar. This brings up the species list information screen, which is sorted in alphabetical order by gem species name. Here you may select any gem species to view its species detailed information. For example, I will scroll down the list by swiping my finger from the bottom of the screen towards the top, rolling the list down the page to corundum. Clicking on the corundum row opens another screen that displays the species detailed information for corundum, as I will demonstrate now. Now that we have corundum species detailed information displayed, you see that information is listed one attribute per vertical row at a time. There are 2 things that I should note here. First, just because you see a limited amount of information displayed does not mean there is not more information present. Smartphones have a limited amount of screen real estate to work with. In some cases, you may scroll down the page and more information will become visible. Second, to the right of the row containing the toughness attribute, you see a white arrow in a circle that we will call the disclosure icon. If you see the disclosure icon, this means that more detailed information is available and that clicking on the row will bring up the information for the attribute in another screen, as I will demonstrate in a moment. For now, I will slowly scroll down the page so you get an idea of the gem species information the application contains. Focusing on the reaction properties section, we see that heat, light, and chemical reaction information are marked with the disclosure icon. Clicking on the heat reactions row, we can view how corundum reacts to being heated. You may return to the species detailed information screen by clicking arrow pointing to the left or back button under the application menu bar. To further reinforce the concept that you may maneuver from more general information to more specific information, I will click both the light and chemical reaction rows so that you may view the information disclosed by both. Now let's look at the bottom of the corundum species detailed information screen to the row labeled varieties. MetdiaGem has the unique feature of connecting the more general gem species to the more specific gem varieties and vice versa. And as you will see in a moment, you may get from one to the other because both are linked. Clicking on the varieties row brings up a list of varieties for corundum. Let's click Ruby. This brings up the Ruby variety detailed information screen. Now, if you look 5 rows down, you will see a line labeled species with the disclosure icon present. Clicking on it brings up the corundum species detailed information screen. This has been done on purpose to allow you to get to either one from the other when, for example, you have only a species name but not a variety name, or vice versa. Instead of continuing our demonstration from this point, let's click the Gem Varieties icon, which is the second application menu bar button from the left. This displays the varieties list information screen with varieties listed in alphabetical order. Now let me note 3 things here. First, not all gem species have a variety. In this case, the species name is used to determine its placement in the list. Second, species that have varieties with a designator such as cat's eye or star are listed separately from their non-phenomenal counterparts. Lastly, we have included in the list some varieties that are not official, but that we thought warranted separation from the official variety or varieties of the parent gem species. Let's continue with our corundum theme. For convenience, I temporarily paused the video and scrolled down the list to Ruby because there are literally hundreds of varieties in the MetdiaGem application. Clicking on the Ruby row displays the variety detailed information screen for Ruby that we viewed previously from the corundum varieties list information screen. I will scroll the options first and then discuss most of them here in a moment. We have covered the species row, so I will skip it. The next row down is the images row. Before I click on it, I will say that in the previous version of MetdiaGem, you can only view images by entering through the screen. Beginning with MetdiaGem version 1.2.1, you may view images included with the application from here and by clicking the images icon in the application menu bar, which is the third button from the left. We will cover that in a moment. For now, I will click on the images row and you will see 2 thumbnails for the Ruby variety of corundum. Clicking on one of them displays a larger view of the image, as I will demonstrate now. Let's return to the Ruby variety detailed information screen and select the color information row, which is below the images row. As you can see, rubies are red in color, but out to the right of the row is the disclosure icon. Clicking on the row opens up the red color detailed information screen that displays additional information about the red color for rubies. Remembering what I said earlier that more information might be found by scrolling down the page, if I scroll down the page, you will see the fluorescence and color filter information move into view. Let's go back to the Ruby Variety Detailed Information screen and select the Confused With Information row, which sits below the Color Information row. This screen lists other varieties that are typically confused with the Ruby variety of corundum. As you can see, the disclosure icon is present next to the row showing that further detailed information is available. In this case, if, for example, we click on rhodolite, the rhodolite variety detailed information screen is brought up and you can view the same variety detailed information for rhodolite as you can for ruby, including species information. Let's return to the Ruby Variety Detailed Information screen by clicking the back button twice and go down one row to the Separations Information row. This brings up a list of varieties that Ruby typically needs to be separated from to positively identify a gem as ruby. As before, we will select rhodolite, and a list of the tests needed to separate ruby from rhodolite will be displayed. Notice that next to the polariscope reaction test, the disclosure icon is present. Clicking on the polariscope reaction test brings up the detailed information needed for the test. Let's go back to the Ruby Variety Detailed Information screen by clicking the back button 3 times and go down one row to the Enhancement Information row. Clicking on it brings up the typical enhancement methods for Ruby. Notice that there are 3 rows of heating methods and 2 rows of impregnation methods for Ruby. This is not an error. Each row represents something different that the method incorporates from the other method or methods in the same general category. For example, clicking on the first impregnation method shows that oil and dye are used to hide cracks and improve color. Going back and clicking on the second impregnation method reveals that glass is used as the filler, and not only does it hide cracks and improve color, it adds weight to the gem. Let's return to the Ruby Variety Detailed Information screen by clicking the back button twice and go down one row to the Source Information row, which is the last category of information in the Variety section. This provides a list of source countries, regions, and/or areas in which the variety is typically found. Clicking on it brings up the typical sources for ruby, which includes Afghanistan, India, Kenya, Myanmar, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, and Thailand. Now that we have covered the species and variety detailed information screens, I will cover 2 new features of the MetdiaGem application. After many requests, we have included a separate screen for viewing images of varieties in fewer steps than the previous version and included a search feature that allows you to search varieties by up to 22 categories of search criteria and countless numbers of variations. I will begin with the images screen. Clicking the third button from the left on the application menu bar that looks like a round brilliant cut stone opens the images list information screen. This allows you to narrow your decision to a single variety. I'm going to continue our corundum/ruby theme, but I'm going to temporarily pause the video so I can scroll down to ruby due to the number of varieties included in this section. Now that I've scrolled down the list so ruby is present, clicking on it brings up a list of image thumbnails for the ruby variety. If this screen looks familiar, it is because we have made 2 entry portals into the variety images list screen, one that provides a fast route to the images and one that provides an associative route to the images tied to the rest of the information displayed in the variety detailed information screen. Clicking on one of the images displays a scaled up view of the image like before. The fourth button to the left that looks like a magnifying glass is the search screen for filtering the results list depending on search criteria you enter. Clicking on it shows part of the available options for filtering varieties. Scrolling down the rest of the screen shows the other available options. For example, let's say we want to search on the keyword diamond, a color restriction of black, a refractive index greater than or equal to 2.417, the refractive index of diamond, and a restriction that all search criteria must be present in order to be included in the results, all of which I have already entered in for convenience. Clicking the Return Results button returns 5 varieties that meet the criteria of the search. Now you may be asking yourself why 3 non-diamond varieties are included in the results. There are 2 reasons why. First, we did not specify a range for the refractive index that restricted to just the diamond refractive index. If I go back and enter 2.417 in both the from and to refractive index fields, this will restrict the results to diamond and irradiated diamond. The second reason is that our keyword is searched against every piece of text in the entire database. We have done this because there may be times you want to search on text besides variety and species names. The number of available search criteria allow you to custom tailor your search as broadly or as narrowly as you want. Now you should see the disclosure icon to the right of each row. Clicking on diamond brings up the variety detailed information screen for diamond, where you may get to all the information already previously covered. Let's switch gears and look at the other features of the application. Clicking on the ellipsis, or 3 periods, to the far right of the application menu bar brings up the rest of the application's menu options. Starting with melting temperatures and specific gravities, both display their respective information for metals used in the jewelry industry, along with other common metals for comparison purposes. I will click and scroll down each so you get an idea of the breadth of the information they both contain. Clicking on the ellipsis again, we will explore the weight conversion utility. This useful calculator allows you to enter an amount, select a base unit, and the fields below will automatically recalculate to their equivalent weights compared to the selected base unit. For example, if I put 2 in the amount field and select grams as the base unit, the other fields automatically recalculate to the equivalent weight to 2 grams. In addition, we have updated the weight converter to include conversion formulas. With grams currently selected as the base unit, if I click on the carats row, the formula for converting grams to carats will be displayed. Finally, clicking the ellipsis again, We have included a glossary of commonly used gemology terms and definitions that are written with both the formal definition and explained in layman's terms. For example, if I scroll down and click on refractive index, both the formal definition and explanation using the straw and the glass principle are included to reinforce the concept. It is both content for the experienced and the novice.
That concludes my demonstration of the Windows 8 phone version of MetdiaGem. I hope you have found this video to be informative and enlightening. If you have any questions or comments about the software, suggestions to improve the software, or feature requests for future releases, please feel free to email me at the email address listed at the end of this video. Thank you for watching.